Episode 3, A Rat in a Trap. He does not have his wings, nor his royal clothes, nor his gleaming hair. Nonetheless, I know it's him. The subtle power he emanates is unmistakable. Hello, Lord Orion. Good evening. There's a nostalgic smile on his face, as if he's been there 1,000 times before. Maybe he has. Call me Orlando, lol. We're among your... He doesn't settle on a final word, and Albert fists balled tightly against his legs. Doesn't let him finish. What the hell are you doing here? Am I not allowed? Your colleague reminded me that it has been some time since I last walked the mundane. Now I am here. He looks around, drinking in all the details. Very quaint. Nettie remains quiet, mentally cataloging the interaction. Her eyes flick past Orion to a woman standing a few steps behind. And her? My attendant. I cannot expect to wait on myself. My brain catches as his attendant gives a slight embarrassed wave. Hello again. This development is dizzying. The Fairy Lord and his pixie attendant. Here in the mundane, I should... Figuring what's going on with our not being able to leave, question them further. Just a moment. You can't just show up out of nowhere like this. It would appear that I can. Don't play dumb. What are you doing here? All in good time. Orion flicks a glance at Glim. She fetches him a seat, and once he's comfortable, gets one for herself. There, now we can begin. He disliked your impatience. Orion takes his time arranging his coat, getting comfortable, another ploy, no doubt, to enrage Albert, and it's working. I won't ask again, Orlando. What are you doing here? And I will not repeat my answer. He flicks 2 fingers into the air in a gesture of such authority that Loki scrambles to comply, even though there's no table service. At least allow me a drink before you begin your interrogation. You think we're going to interrogate you? You're suspicious of my motives, aren't you? Sharing a drink should prove I have no ill intent. Loki approaches a few moments later, notepad in hand. More new friends. Wow. You guys are getting popular. What can I get you, huh? Orlando. Loki nods hello, then glances at Glim. Oh, hello. This is so nice to meet you. My name is Glinda. Her name is Glinda. Glim's bright eyes turn to Nettie in surprise. You two know each other? Friends at the university. Loki accepts this explanation without a second thought. He takes their orders, 2 glasses of the finest red wine in the house, and slips away to fill them. My name would be a bit funny here, wouldn't it? Thank you. Don't worry about it. A tense silence pervades until Loki serves the drinks and returns to the bar. Albert doesn't look away from Orion for a second, and Orion never looks away from me. You're very sober for a place like this. I'm working. He picks up his glass and takes a sip. The scrunch of his nose suggests the wine does not meet his standards, but he continues to drink it anyway. Work can look like all sorts of things, can it? Especially work like ours. You're nothing like her, aren't I? We take care of others, guide them, much like you, Sir Knight. This is going nowhere fast. Best to get to the heart of the matter. Lord Orlando, are you aware that I cannot leave Belchester? Oh, were you injured? You know she wasn't. There's a gaze on her. A magical compulsion trapping her in the town that you caused. Ah, so you noticed. Momentarily, I'm thrown. You admit it. Admit it, I'm impressed. You got on far quicker than I expected. You... Calm yourself, Sir Knight. It's just a little test. A test? I don't appreciate being tested. And yet, here we sit. Yeah, because you're forcing her to. Don't be so hard on my lord. He just wanted to see what sort of person you were. And what did you find out? You have a keen awareness, a decisive manner. I gave you nothing, and you did not waver. Were it not for this geese, you would have already been calling your cavalry, would you not? It depends on how my report is received. The mood of your superiors, you mean? Take the geese off of her, Orion. Now. Why should I? She needs to learn a lesson. Do not touch what you do not know. It returns to me in a flash. Orion's clasping handshake, the tickle in my arm, a strange, self-satisfied smile. I rub my palm with a thumb and stare at him. Why did you do this? I've already told you a test to see what would happen if you were forced to stay. His eyes gleam almost alien under the shadow of his brow. I see your heart. I know you do not want to leave so easily. Path of empathy. My heart thuds shamefully in my chest. He's right. I do not want to leave. The magic of my childhood fantasies lives here. It killed me to have to walk away after a single taste. Could he do that, though? Does Orion have the ability to peer into my heart, or was it so obvious he could read it on my face? His expression is a gesture's mask. I only know there is more to him than I am allowed to see. You don't know anything about me. Well, we shall have plenty of time to learn. That's it! Albert surges from his chair, sending it clattering to the ground. His fist is curled and caught, ready to swing. I'm gonna break that pretty face of yours. There are only moments to act. Glim shrieks and withdraws. Nettie swiftly stands ready to protect Albert's back, and I stand between the men. Albert is physically strong. Orion radiates supernatural power, yet my feet carry me between the two of them, disregarding my fear and blocking their clash. That's enough out of both of you. Stop. I know instinctively that I would have been crushed between them if they hadn't stopped. The men glare at each other, Albert seething, Orion wearing an infuriating smile. I do not start fights with lions, Sir Nine. I have better things to do than pick your bones from between my teeth. You'd be picking up your teeth off the ground if she wasn't here, you smug. I dare not move a muscle. My hands, pressing each one of their chests, holding them apart, are pitifully weak in comparison. She's right, this isn't the time or the place. And it never will be. Albert draws back first, only just managing to unclench his jaw. Thanks for stepping in. Yes, he would have gotten badly hurt if not for you. Before anything more can happen, a third man bursts in and joins the fray, having been called out from outside by Loke. Knight, what the hell are you doing? It's not me, he's the bastard. Ryan holds up his hands, highly offended. I was just talking, Constable. He suddenly went mad. I went mad. All right, you, calm down. The constable grips Albert by the arm and twists hard. Go on, son. Give me an excuse to throw you out of here. Albert wrenches his arm free. It's fine, we're done. I step out of the line of fire, letting the men have their stare off. The mayor's gonna hear you that you're causing problems, Albert. Seriously, just give me a reason. I'll have to disappoint you again, Constable. I'm on my best behavior. I can practically hear the constable grinding his teeth. He makes sure to knock Albert's shoulder as he stalks out of the pub, slamming the door behind him. Thanks, Locke. Or Lockie. Well, well. Quite the display. Don't. Glim gently touches Orion's arm. He half turns, half catches her glance and nods. Worry not, we'll sit elsewhere. And they do. Ryan and Glim find a table on the opposite side of the room, while Albert and Nettie return to their original seats. Suddenly, I'm back in secondary school, split between two groups. Which table should I sit at? Who am I supposed to speak to, and who will be offended? I wish I could just consult Sammy, but there are far too many eyes on me right now for that. Nettie, watching me dither, speaks up. He's a big boy, he'll survive. Go talk to them if you want. Albert's head is in his hands, and he does... but he lets out an agreeing sort of groan. Well, in that case... spend time with Albert, spend time with Nettie, spend time with Glim, spend time with Orion. Albert didn't put a curse on me. The severity of Albert's response to Orion is surprising. I expected animosity, but Albert wanted to tear the man apart. I'm gonna do some research. Nettie gets up and heads for the bar, phone in hand, allowing me to take her vacated seat. Albert? Sorry, I'll be okay in a second. He takes in one long breath, holds it, exhales slowly. When he looks at me, his eyes are clear, if more than a little wary. Alright, I'm here now. I'm with you. So I see. Wanna tell me what was that all about? Which part? Orion, the constable, Smith. Let's start with the constable. He hates me. Yes, I gather that much. Maybe you and Nettie will get along after all. Don't dodge the question. I can work it out. But I'd prefer to hear your side of the story. Albert looks down into his drink, smile fading. Here's the facts. I guard this gate to the supernatural realm. Though the realm is sacred, my family has a very generous fund secured for our services, the Night Allowance. From the mayor's office, I presume, which means... Go on. To the constable, you receive a large regular spendent of public funds for, as far as they know, nothing more than maintaining the graveyard. It's good money, too. Enough to live comfortably and pay Nettie for her work. Add on top of that what my job actually entails, and it looks like a lot of money going to a crazy fellow who spends all of his time wandering the fields and the forest. My heart goes out to him. He risks his life to protect this town, to carry them all on his back, and what does he get in return? Hatred, suspicion, exile, a lifetime of toil and obscurity until he retires or dies. I doubt he wants pity. I adjust my jacket and give him a smile. I understand, Albert. They have no idea how much they're taking for granted. What people like us are doing for them behind the scenes. If we do our jobs right, they never will. Something loosens within him. His shoulders relax, and he sits more comfortably in his chair. It's good having someone who gets it. He appreciates your understanding. His eyes wander down to where my hands rest on the table. Do you mind if I ask a personal question? I think I know what he's about to ask. I arrange my features in hasty neutrality. What is it? Is there... London's a lot bigger than Belchester, obviously, or... It takes more time than I thought for him to screw up his courage. Stupid question, actually. You're beautiful. Of course you've got somebody waiting for you. Ah, well... At my hesitation, he double takes. Wait, you don't? It's difficult for me to date. When he doesn't answer, just looks at me, patient, curious. I have to continue. Working in the Bureau means that your life in the Bureau... It's tricky to date internally. Forming relationships with civilians is... Ask a lot of awkward questions. You can't let them get too close. Exactly. What a shame. You should be fighting the men off with a stick. In this line of work, occasionally I have to. He laughs, a long, rolling sound of pure pleasure. I believe it. He doesn't dare touch the hand I've left resting on the table just yet, but his fingers inch closer, enough to leave the suggestion hanging. Hopefully that changes. I'd hate to think of someone like you being left alone. Maybe it will. Sooner than you'd think. Is that right? Possibly. Well, that's an improvement over definitely not. The last few inches close. He rests his hand over mine, his fingers warm and strong. Aw, we're having a moment. I'm clicking, but it's not doing anything. Finding anybody who understands is a blessing. Someone you can count on, that's a miracle. The kind that makes you want to protect the person from anything that might come their way. The way Albert's staring at me makes me feel like a priceless jewel, more precious than anything else in the world. No, he wouldn't like a jewel, would he? He'd want something more vital, more real. Someone you can count on. That doesn't sound too bad at all. His thumb strokes the back of my hand, drifting down to my wrist. We gaze at each other for what feels like a lot longer than the few moments that actually pass. Then his hand withdraws, lifting his glass for a much-needed fortifying sip. The spell is broken. I press my fingers to my cheek and find it warm to the touch. But, we're in no rush, are we? There's a lot of work before us. There certainly is. I feel hot underneath the collar. Being trapped in this town might be a lot more appealing than I initially thought it would. It means more of whatever that was. Albert is interested in you. Albert hasn't stopped looking at me. With the single-minded attention I had seen in the forest in Orion's court, he might never look away again. I'm glad you're feeling better. So am I. He laughs this time, and it's strangely embarrassing. I take the chance to turn my attention back to the rest of the pub. I'm assuming we're going to get to spend with all of them. Alright, let's do Nettie. Not in that way, you pervs! Just kidding. Nettie's awareness of her surroundings is keen for someone who appears to take no interest in anything or anybody. I'm looking at her for only a few moments before she returns from the bar. Everything alright? Just doing some research. She shows me her phone screen. Several tabs of an online encyclopedia are open, mostly concerning barriers, magic, geezes. Oh, you're already on it. It's my job. I'm sure Loki wouldn't mind us hanging around a bit longer. Albert rises from his chair at Nettie's steel-melting glare, hands raised in surrender. I'll make myself scarce. And he does, leaving Nettie and me alone at the table. Nettie watches Albert go. Her eyes slowly shift off of him to me, lips curling in a rare smile. Enjoying your chat with him? She noticed your moment with Albert. It was interesting. I'm sure it was. Were there other questions you had about your geese? Plenty, but I was hoping to just get to talk to you. I'm here, we're talking. As she sits, considering her unwavering loyalty to Albert, the immediacy with which she showed up to help me, the way she covered for Glim, despite never having met her, despite the fairies technically being their enemy. She might have an acid tongue, spiky shell, but I'm recognizing now that beating heart beneath that cold mask, one which I think I'd like to get to know. You're staring, spit it out. Sorry, just gathering my thoughts. She nods, examining the slowly melting ice cubes in her glass. I get it. My whole job is research. What is, what isn't, what could be folklore is tricky enough even without knowing that most of those stories are real. I can imagine. You really can't. Can I? My job is concerning with the supernatural realm, too. Yeah, with the realm, not with the half-true bedtime stories. I have to be rigorous. Any little piece of misinformation might be one that gets Albert killed. He protects me. He protects all of Albettshire every single day. This is the only way I can protect him in return. We go quiet for a bit. You've got a ton on your plate. That's life. I don't want to owe anybody anything. Her heavy thoughts are dispelled, or at the very least covered with a sudden quirk of her lips. You might have Sammy, but An AI is never going to be as good as a human researcher. You'll never be able to connect the dots like we can. It's true. It is one of your positive traits. Yeah, what else is good about me? I link my fingers together on my lap and smile. When it comes to you, Nettie, I taper off in embarrassment. Not for the first time. I wish for the simplicity of the playground, of walking up to someone and asking to be friends. But are friends what I want? There's no lure to her coldness or frankness with Nettie. What you see is what you get. She sees no value in lying to anyone ever. Plus, well, she's very pretty. When it comes to me? Yes, sorry, with you... I'm intrigued. Of course you are. I'm very intriguing. I'm serious, but we only just met. But something about you is just fascinating. Oh, well, thanks. Her stare has been direct up until this point. Now, suddenly, she cannot meet my eyes. Perhaps the drink loosened her up a little. She leans forward, cradling her empty glass between both hands. It's nice to be noticed sometimes, with all these fairy lords, pixies, knights. Being a regular human can feel a bit too normal. I wouldn't use normal to describe anything about you. Nettie is becoming more interested in you. I wouldn't say that about you either. I can feel her eye drinking me in. There's no rush to speak when the view is so pleasing. It was a culture shock coming back to Belchester after studying at a big university. The social aspect, you know. You're always meeting new people and going to parties. I would have thought you hated parties. I hate noisy idiots. Parties I like. I can respect that. We share a smile, our heads tilting closer. It's not hard to agree with that statement. If I like someone, I like them. If I don't, I'm not going to pretend I do. Back then, the issue was more that a lot more people like me than I like them back. She glances downward, saying it without saying it. Good looks, a sharp mind, bold personality. Men and women would have been lining up to get to know her. It's different here. Joining up with Albert marked me as an outcast. Even though I'm in my hometown, nobody wants to know me anymore. Nobody but Loki. I don't want to think about him right now. The natural secrecy of girl talk has inched us bit by bit into each other's personal space. I catch the faint scent of her perfume, sharp and enticing, and I find myself looking at her lips. Soft, gentle, thoroughly intriguing. What would it be just to close the distance and just... Nettie's sharp eyes read the direction of my thoughts. She leans back slowly, settling in her chair with obvious satisfaction. I'm just saying, if I care, that's a selective club. You should feel lucky if you end up in it. If I end up in it? You've still got plenty of chances to mess it up. My thoughts feel like they're coming through a thick fog. I clear my throat, adjust the collar of my suddenly too confining jacket, and try to find some small scrap of my tattered composure. Yes, let's hope I don't. I'm going to do a little bit more research now. We can talk more later. She's very pleased with herself. I take the chance to draw back and find someone else to meet. We didn't get a little CGI AI thing with that? Alright, fine. Spend time with Glim. Maybe it's because we're more closer to Albert, or the fact that Albert went first. Kinda curious about that. Let me know. If the contact between the two men bothers her, Glim doesn't show up. She remains near Orion, regularly whispering comments that I cannot hear, pointed at various things around the room. It's a bit like picking sides, crossing the room to speak to them, but it's a necessary action to take. The most important thing a pub agent must have is neutrality. Hello again. Orion slides his placid gaze over to me. May I help you, Agent? Your guard dog may not like you coming so close to us dangerous creatures. Very funny, Lord Orion. I was actually hoping to speak with Glim. Glim processes my words, and then turns to Orion. May I, my lord? As long as you do it elsewhere. Glim springs to her feet with a squeal of delight. Can we go to the bar? I want to take a closer look at all those bottles. Sure. Glim goes onto her tiptoes once we're at the bar, peering at the glossy labels. You have so many drinks here. Who brews them? All sorts of companies. Companies? Oh, yes. Bigger groups. Lord Orion explained this one. Bigger groups. I suppose you're not wrong. It's a simple way to view things. The sparkling interest in her eyes is something as simple as Japanese whiskey, free of any guile or deception, is endearing. Everything okay over here? Yes, I'm Glenda. Glam points at a bottle near the back filled with bright green liquid. Can I have that one? Green Fairy. That's perfect for me. The, absinthe? Oh no, I sense incoming peril. She'll have another glass of your house red. I'll have some of that fresh squeezed juice you mentioned. You got it. Once he's gone, Glim turns back to me. That's so thoughtful. Quite all right. I thought you might not. Before I can finish that sentence, her arms wrap around me, enveloping me in a tight hug. I knew it. I knew you were nice. Was there a question about my niceness? No. It's not relevant right now. People are already looking. With Glim's body tight against me, Why not linger? It's been... I'm not sure how long since someone has hugged me so impulsively. My life is at work, where everybody holds themselves back. Say what you like about Glim. She does not hold back. Her body heat is comforting. Her hair smells like forest after a fresh summer rain. Before I know it, I've looped my arms around her and stepped closer into the hug. A good summer rain actually smells really nice about right now. I'm tired of winter. Her head comes to rest on my shoulder. Gently, she starts rubbing circles on my back, humming softly under her breath. You need a hug. I can tell. I do, but it's been a long time since I've had one. Isn't that obvious? I really don't know how to deal with the confusing swirl of feelings rising up in me. You're such a good soul. You've been lonely, haven't you? Just hearing those words makes a lump rise in my throat. I grip her top, fingers bunging the fabric. It's okay, you're not alone now. We stand there holding each other until the rhythm of our breathing synchronizes. I hadn't realized how wary I'd felt until now. Is it some sort of special talent of the Pixies I wasn't aware of, or something more? Her eyes are shining when we finally pull back. Glim likes being by your side. Feeling better now? Much. Good! Then that's a fair exchange for my drink. The drink? I look at the bar. At some point, he had silently served our drinks and had withdrawn. The sudden knowledge makes me cover my face with my hands. Oh God, everyone saw that. It's okay. There's nothing bad to see, was there? Still mortified, I shake my head. Glim remains all smiles as she picks up her drink and takes a sip. Oh, that's so rich. Better than fairy wine? Oh no, not even close. Still tasty, though. My heart continues to beat as we pass the time in meaningless chatter, unable to move on from that moment of intimacy nearly as quickly as she did. I'll be thinking about that hug for quite some time. Glim glances back at where Orion still waits. Once her glass is empty, she shoots me an apologetic look. I have to go back to my lord now. Sorry. It's okay. Thank you for the company, Glim. Anytime. I believe her, as she all but skips away. There's no dubitatis bone in that body. In the meantime, I'd better focus back on the present moment. Yeah, the last person in the room, Mr. Tall, dark, and handsome. Let's go. Orion reclines on his chair, watching me with lazy interest of a well-fed lion. He's indisputably the leader of his pride. The question is, does he consider me a proud lioness or a delicious gazelle? Probably both. Fear or intimidation will not answer these questions. I simply approach. Would you mind leaving us alone for a bit, Glim? I need to have a private chat with your lord. Your lord? The arrogance! It almost matches my own. He dismisses Glim with a nod. 2 audiences in one day. Few have such honor. Honored isn't the word I'd use. Even though I'm standing, and he's sitting, it somehow still feels like he's towering over me. The magic around him prickles my nose with its sheer intensity. Answer me straight, Lord Orion. Why did you do this? Is it to torment me, or get a reaction out of Albert? You think I would do all this just to bother the noble knight? I think it's a possibility. Then you are not thinking deeply enough. His smile vanishes in an instant. You would assume I do this to torment you, to eliminate an enemy. Well, you're wrong. In order to be an enemy, you would first have to be a threat. Charming. Yes, I am. Won't you join me? Walking away gives him the reaction he craves. Sitting down accepts the insult. He's got me either way. I sit. Not if you take his drink and splash it in his face. Then what? That doesn't answer my question. Why did you put this gaze on me? What? Oh, that's simple. I wanted to see what you would do. That's all? Pick any reason you like. It is of no monument to me. I highly doubt that's all there is to the story. There's contradiction in his actions. He's disinterested as a ruler, almost bored, but at the same time he's attentive, focused. He's been watching me, spying on me, listening to me since the moment I stepped off the train. Speak your mind. I think you're more interested than you let on. Oh? I swear the room gets slightly darker around us, or is it just an increase in the magical glow behind his eyes? And why do you say that? I don't see you putting a geese on anybody else. Why would you do it if you didn't want me specifically to stay? Perhaps you're right. He leans in close. The table suddenly feels far too narrow, like standing too close to the bars of a lion's cage. Perhaps I trapped you on purpose. Perhaps I never intend to let you go. Perhaps you're now my captive for the rest of your short mortal life. Am I one of those fairies who spirits children away, replaces them with changelings, or was I just so enchanted that I had to make you mine? His words are such a sudden, vivid barrage that I cannot speak. Orion presses his advantage. I could drag you to bed, ravish you, throw you into a dungeon. Do you know if I have a dungeon, human? I don't know. His hand whips out and grasps mine, drawing it sharply against the table. Attempt to undermine me again, and you will find out. His finger strokes over my palm. I feel its strength. He could crush my bones with little more than a thought. Instead, he touches his lips to the back of my hand, a single gentlemanly kiss gazing into my eyes all the while. One of these could be true, or none at all. If you wish to discover the answer, find it out for yourself. As abruptly as the atmosphere had changed, it changes again. He releases my hand and leans back in his chair, picking up his forgotten drink. That will be all for now. Stunned, silent, I find myself obeying. It's all I can do to remain quiet as I stand and walk away. Bloody hell, what was all that about? Move on, we've got no one else. The afternoon wears on into the evening. I glance out the window, realize the sun has set and the street lights are on. Goodness, time really flows. I can't believe he's just sat there drinking this whole time, like he didn't just do this to you. Albert has calmed considerably, but Orion's presence continues to upset him. It comes as no surprise when, out of nowhere, the Fairy Lord rises and crosses the floor. Well, it's been a lovely evening. I must be getting home now. I thank you for the sparkling company. He's looking only at me when he says this, ignoring Albert, which provokes him even more. Are you going to dispel the gas on her? And why would I do that? Why, because you... Albert splutters with rage. You can't just do that to her. Oh, but I can. He dusts 2 fingers along my shoulder, watching me with hooded eyes. Your knight takes things far too seriously. Do not attempt to leave town and you'll be safe. So, she's just supposed to stay here forever? No. It will wear off. She shall soon be free to do as she wishes. Soon in terms of a fairy's lifespan or a human's? Soon enough. He turns on a heel and bids goodbye with a flick of his fingers and Glim trailing behind. In moments they're gone, the pub filled only with the humans, once again, that you know of. I'm going to break that smug face one day. There's a sense of decisive loss around the table. I clear my throat gently, about to speak, when my watch lights up. Damn, what timing. What is it? Nothing, I've just got to take a call. I step away from the table and exit the pub. 5 minutes of fresh air does wonders. I feel much more clear-headed now than I did before the phone call. Who was that? A colleague. She needed some advice. Albert's frown asks the question for him. Neither of you need to worry about it. It's irrelevant to the case. Nettie glances at her own phone. She's calling you very late. One of the unenviable duties of this job, I'm afraid. I never really get to go offline. I clap my hands, dispelling the topic, and hopefully some of the gloomy mood. Come on, both of you. We're not going to do any good sitting here stewing. Let's sleep on it and return to the problem in the morning. It's too sensible suggestion to argue. Slightly more wobbly than when we came in. Our group exits the pub, and we make our way back to Albert's. I part from Albert and Nettie at the gate and retire to my own little cottage, dropping onto the comfortable bed waiting for me. Made with fresh, clean sheets is a decadent delight. What a day. A minute or 2 passes and staring blankly at the ceiling before I gather the strength to lift my wrist. Sammy? Yes, Isa! Activate recording function, compile the following information onto a status report, and send to London HQ. Understood. Recording function activated. Begin dictation in your own time. I summarize today's events while they're fresh in my mind, passing through the gate, meeting Orion, his court, and my intention to leave before being stopped by this gas. A lot has happened in such short time. It feels unreal. I should have been back in the office hours ago, but with this development, the case has taken on a whole new dimension. Sammy's silent, processing for several seconds. Shall I log a request for aid? You have been trapped against your will by a leader of the supernatural realm. Good question for now, I think. No. I'm not quite sure why, but I don't sense any true hostility from him. This is some sort of game to him. Who knows how things will go? For now, I'm confident he won't harm me. Please call for assistance the moment your opinion changes, Agent. Thank you, Sammy, I will. I watch the branches of the nearby trees sway gently. Through the windows, Sammy generates a report. The moonlight, so much brighter than the city, casts intricate shadows against the wall. Would you like to add any personal notes? You have met many new people today. Why not? Who would you like to talk about? Sammy might be a digital assistant, but I swear there's a gossipy interest in those holographic eyes. Is there anyone who has created more interest than the others? My cheeks heat up at the thought. It's not unusual for agents to meet partners, humans, otherwise, short-term, long-term, on their cases. Tensions are high, relationships move swiftly. I've heard my share of stories about agents who left one day and never returned. Some of them died. Others decided that becoming a vampire's lover was far more appealing than a lifetime of negotiation and paperwork. Who could blame them for that? As I lay alone in my bed thinking about the question, my thoughts drift to... this one's a tough one. Got Albert, Nettie, Orion, Glim. I'm guessing we can only do one, and by doing one, it improves their relationship with them. I'll throw a bone since we kind of pissed off Orion at the beginning. I'll throw a bone. It's hard not to be interested in a massively powerful fairy lord, especially one who's trapped me. His true nature remains murky. He's stern, sarcastic, insightful, self-absorbed, rules with dignity, plays tricks for nothing more than his own amusement. Lord Orion is a key figure in this case. Your interest makes sense. It goes a bit beyond that. Sam, the way he acts, it's impossible to know what's a mask and what's the true him. He's larger than life in every way. I try not to think of him standing in a sink doing dishes. Mental image seems absurd. Those from the supernatural realm simply do not exist in the same way as we do in the mundane. What would life with him look like, I wonder? How would those two mesh? Lord Orion, he's a puzzle. I gently flex my fingers. It's probably just my imagination that I can still feel the tingle of his handshake and the remnants of his touch on my shoulder. Your personal log has been logged. Wait, no, don't do that. Delete that part right now. Deleted. My apologies. It's alright. I was getting a little distracted anyway. I yawn so powerfully that my jaw nearly cracks. My pillow is soft, fresh, the sheets are clean, and all around are the sense of nature and simple living. Those are some of the best smells, let me tell you. Whatever else is going on, it can wait until morning. Despite my circumstances, I sleep very well. There are no cars, street lights, no shouting pedestrians to disturb my rest. Another point for country life. It is, trust me, it really is. I take my time getting ready before stepping out to see what the day will bring. I miss that kind of life. Now I live in a city of over 1.5 million people. Albert is standing on his doorstep. It's like being in Smallville and moving to Metropolis. Let's put it that way. Albert is standing on his doorstep talking with someone when I emerge. I don't recognize who it is from the back, not until I'm close enough to overhear their conversation. I don't want to hear it, Rowan. He knows what he did. This isn't the sort of thing you can play off as a prank. She's not harmed, is she? You know he likes to play with new people. Yeah, I know, the cradle-snatching traditions die hard. Don't be nasty. That hasn't happened for a long time. Albert's gearing up to say something else when I join them. Ah, the Sleeping Beauty joins us. Look radiant today. Good morning, Rowan. What's going on? He's here to beg for forgiveness on Orion's behalf. I look at the fairy. I don't know what he is, actually. Only that the tension between these men is palpable. He realizes he went too far. He didn't mean anything. He just likes playing pranks and teasing people like that. Did he say that he went too far? Not in so many words. Well then. That's not an apology. If he wants to say sorry, he can say it to my face. If only you had that kind of backbone, Rowan. A glint of danger flits at the edges of Rowan's smile. You know, if you want to do something about it, the deal is still on the table. Albert doesn't react openly. Only the tensing in his shoulders and tightness in his jaw hint at his true feelings. Not this again. I'm just saying, if you want the power to properly resist Lord Orion, we can make that happen. The sense of witnessing an old disagreement comes over me again. Albert looks exhausted at the mere thought. Albert doesn't need your help. He's got strength, experience, allies. Whatever you're offering is unnecessary. And a double-edged sword, no doubt. Deals with supernatural creatures always come at a high price. Albert looks at me with overflowing relief. You have your answer, Rowan. For today. Rowan spreads his hands benevolently in front of him. So, what message shall I send back to my lord? Tell him he knows where he can stick his tests and his jokes. Rowan chuckles, ignoring Albert's reaction. I knew he'd say that. What about you? I pause and think for a moment, considering how to phrase my response. Albert has a point. Orion's too experienced to plead ignorance. He knew what he did when he trapped me here. I'm unharmed, yes. I have no reason to disbelieve that the geese will wear off in time. Nah, well, that's not quite true. I allow my own annoyance to rise to the surface just for a moment. Regardless, entrapping a senior field agent of the Parallel Universes Bureau is not a good first impression. Is it a threat? I don't know, do you want it to be one? It's an observation. Tell him that if he tries anything else, it won't be a threat, it'll be a promise. With 2 lazy steps, Rowan is in my space. He's much taller than me, and though he's nowhere close to Orion, Rowan is no weakling either. I'll tell him what you said, word for word. Rowan looms for what feels like a very long time, power pulsing from his body. The pressure in the air increases until my eyes start watering. Then it's gone, and he's back to his airy self. Well, lovely little visit. I'd better get going. He strolls out of the gate, whistling a cheerful tune. Albert watches until Rowan disappears into the forest before daring to relax his guard. That guy. How did he get in? I thought you had wards around your property to keep fairies out. Good memory. He taps a similar call ward carved into the doorframe near his head. There's several layers of wards. Rowan is allowed into the property, but he can't come into the house. Not without me allowing him to. Albert puffs out another breath, slaps his cheeks with both palms, and straightens his posture. Sorry about all that. We should be ready to go in a few minutes, if you don't mind waiting. No problem at all. Albert gives a grateful nod and pauses. Actually, this is a good opportunity. Change your clothes. If today goes as planned, you'll need something appropriate for the woods. Albert goes back inside. I look down at my comfortable outfit and frown. If he says so, I suppose it couldn't hurt. Alright, we've got Plaid Elegance, Houndstooth Heroism, Autonomy Simplicity. I'm going to go with Houndstooth Heroism. I like that one. Kind of like Sherlock Holmes, but Watson-y. Am I happy with this? Yes. Braids, 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 afro, flat cap, ginger. Interesting. Alright. I'll do the ginger. Actually, hold on. Nah, we'll go flat cap black. Ginger. I kind of like it, don't have me. I like both, really. It's kind of our choice, but we don't have all day. Albert's cottage is much as I left it. The simple furnishings, Nettie's things all over the dining table, Nettie herself sitting at the table, her head pillowed in her arms. What's she doing here? Did she come over early? She never went home. Nettie's been researching your condition all night. Oh. Albert steps away, lowers his voice so not to disturb her. Kettle's boiled. Coffee or tea? Oh, my brother in Christ. Coffee, please. Albert nods, goes into the kitchen. I take my seat and look at Nettie, surrounded by copious stacks of notes. I do take a sip of coffee. She's sleeping, all right. The steady rise and fall of her body can't be faked. Her dark hair puddles around her head, shining in the glow of her laptop screen. Looking at her there, I can't help but think how beautiful she is, how dedicated she is. I'm gonna go with beautiful. There's only a hint of her face, and most of her body is hidden under the large coat she wears. Even so, her loveliness is undeniable. The unguarded, sleeping expression is so different from the cold look she wears in her waking life. I find myself staring, taking in every second of this rare opportunity. Her lips are slightly parted, her lashes flutter gently as she dreams. Is she in the unconscious realm right now? I wonder, floating among that cloudy landscape, and who is she dreaming of while she's there? Your heart rate is elevated. Are you well? Damn it, Sammy, shut up. I start guiltily and slap my palm over my watch. Fine, Sammy, thank you. Albert sets down a steaming mug of coffee next to Nettie's head. The clink of porcelain against wood wakes her with a jolt. Morning, sunshine. Nettie grumbles, takes the coffee, both hands curl around the hot cup, her eyes barely open as she takes a long sip of rejuvenating caffeine. Give me a second, I'll get it together. Take your time. The coffee does its work. Soon, Nettie is noticeably more alert, setting down the cup to shift her scattered notes in some sort of order. Okay, I think I have everything here. I found out a lot, but I'll keep it to the most relevant details. As you know, a guess is a kind of spell. Specifically one of compulsion. It either forces someone to do something or not to do something. In your case, you're forced to stay within the Belchester area. What happens if I try and break it? Bad things. You already experienced what happens if you push against it, even a little. Yes, I did. Not an experience I'm keen to repeat. While I ponder, she leaves through her notes, squinting and grumbling under her breath. I know it was here somewhere. This is all out of order. She's fighting hard against her exhaustion. I wonder, could I help in some way? Not much point in having a super advanced AI assistant without using it, is there? Nettie blinks in surprise as Sammy blooms from my wrist. I would be happy to assist Miss Kim in this task. What can I do for you? Really? Yes, please, assign my task. Okay, can you access my computer? What about these paper notes? Sammy's eyes erupt with a bright blue holographic beam. Everything on the table is scanned within seconds. Digitizing data. Digitalization complete. Just like that. Correct. A report has been generated and sent to your personal email. Nettie's eyes widen. She clicks open her email and nearly chokes at what she finds there. Wow, you are advanced. Thank you for the compliment. May I help in any other way? Just record. Take notes of our conversation, I suppose, and send those too? Nettie's attention flicks off the hologram and onto me. I can tell the overwhelming convenience and access of Sammy have impressed her a little. I won't ask how you already have my email, so I'll just say thanks. That's a big help. After a few more minutes, Nettie herself has herself together. Alright, so we know what a guess is, which leads to the next question, how to remove it. It's not something you can just ignore. You'll die. Oh. Really? We'll die. Medical examination of a subject who has disobeyed or broken their geese is rare. Current records indicate the consequences are overloading of the nervous system that forces the total shutdown of the body, with death following quickly afterward. I'm starting to really not like Orion much. How lovely. So it can't be cancelled or dispelled. In short, no. The person who laid the guess, or someone of great magical power, may be able to remove it. It is not a certainty. Yeah, Orion could, but he's not going to. So that's it. Either I obey the guess, or I die. Maybe not die. You could just go crazy, or have bad luck for the rest of your life. Bitterness, formed of equal parts fear and disappointment, stings the back of my throat. Wonderful. That's just wonderful. Your relationship with Nettie is starting well. Sensing my dismay, Nettie pushes through her own to try and console me. Do you know the story of Chu Chulain? Remind me. He was placed under a guess that rendered him invincible as long as he never refused hospitality or ate dog meat. It was only when those two guesses conflicted that he died, but before that he was literally undefeatable. Hospitality or dog meat? Okay. Fearless, too. Since he knew he couldn't be killed, if you work it right, the gift could literally turn out to be a huge boon for you. Her attempts at comfort bring a smile to my face. Thank you. Yeah, well, we're all in this together. I'm going to do my part. Even if it means forsaking sleep. Even then, Albert has been staring at his hands for most of the conversation. So our options are either force Orion to remove it or wait for it to wear off on its own. Even if it's true, that will wear off. There is also an option of equally powerful magical being, Mr. Knight. No, there isn't. Nobody around here is anywhere near Orion when it comes to power. Yes, the records indicate this is true. Bully for your records. I run my fingers over the wrist, tracing the edge of my watch. It's an old habit that helps me think. Pub guidelines state that in all cases, coming to a peaceful understanding is the optimal solution. If peace cannot be achieved, though, through diplomacy, use guile. If not guile, then force. I felt Orion's power myself. There's no chance we could beat him in a fight. No. Which means we either need some very compelling leverage to force him to remove it, or we need some new information. Like what? Something that allows us to remove it on our own. If something like that exists, then it's nothing I've ever heard of before. Me neither. Another dead end, then I huff quietly and slump in my chair. I'm sorry, we cannot assist you further, Agent. It's alright, Sammy. We'll work something out. I'm more worried than I have to admit. I could just let the geese be, trust that it will indeed wear off in time, but how much time? Fairies live differently than humans. I could very well die of old age before soon enough comes. Not to mention, I have no idea what other compulsions this might include. Who knows what I might be forced to do under his power. In moments like this, it's important to practice mindfulness. Look around, name a few things that you're thankful for. The warmth of my room, the dedicated new companions, peace, quiet, the cute little lark perched on the windowsill delivering a letter. Wait. I sit up abruptly and blink, making sure my eyes aren't deceiving me. What is it? That bird. Is it carrying something, or have I finally gone mad? We all look. Natty leans in closer, squinting as the bird wraps its beak against the window. You're right, it's holding a piece of paper. It's probably from Orion. Albert cautiously approaches and opens the window. The lark remains where it is, peering attentively at the larger man. Only when he gently plucks the note from its beak does it twitter prettily and fly away. It's a single piece of vellum, folded in two. A quick scan shifts his expression from surprised to wary. Huh, there actually is a letter. What does it say? Who's it from? Take a look. He hands the letter to me and brings it into the light and find two short sentences gently written in gentle curving script. Yes, it's called cursive. Come to the lake tonight, I can help. From a friend. Would you like to thank the developers? Not currently, no. Alright, we've got 2 empathy, 2 efficiency, 3 expertise, diamonds. Speaking of which, hopefully you all did enjoy. Please remember that if you did, to like, share, and subscribe. Alright, so pretty much, I know that there's a few more episodes to go, and I'm catching up on this. Please, again, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Because, again, by your interest in these stories, in this app, whatnot, it makes me more motivated and dedicated to do the content, just so you understand. Also, the fact that RC is kind of like, every time I do one of their episodes, right, I have to go through a process on this platform because the music that they have in it, as well as some of the things they have in it, pretty much I have to say, hey guys, it's fair use. I'm basically, trying to literally and figuratively just cover your content. And I typically have to wait anywhere from 7 days to 30 days. So, yeah, no, it's some of the reasons why there's a lot of delay sometimes with these episodes now. So yeah, I'm not really liking that, and hopefully I have sent a few things to them, hoping that they would reply and whatnot. At first, it was unknown, and then it became more known recently, but I'm still having to go through the process. So hopefully, they stop it, or I'm gonna have to not cover this app. Because again, I've been dealing with this every time I do an episode. So it's actually getting really annoying because, like I said, it can take anywhere from 7 days to 30 days for you guys to be able to fully see this content and whatnot. I swear to God, cats, really. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. But like I said, I'm trying to get this out to you guys. And then also, the app itself has had a lot of issues. You know, I believe the last, what was it? Diamond Rush that they had, it was so bad that they had to extend it like a day or two. And unfortunately, I was doing a lot of other stuff, so I couldn't really do anything. And again, you know, the me having to deal with them is just, again, we're having to do it on YouTube, and it's a middle ground, and I have to sit here and wait so you guys get to even see the content versus, you know, the only time I ever dealt with this in the past was like Chapters. And you remember that app, right? Or you may not. But, you know, that's the only time I've really had to deal with an issue like that. And eventually I walked away from the app because I just got tired of dealing with the hassle. So, yeah, I don't want that to happen. I really enjoy this app, but hopefully they fix that. Just thought I would be full disclosure to you guys about what's going on. So, anyway, thanks again for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy. Catch you all later. Peace out.